It ain't that easy to say, but I'm anxious of the rain, cause I know this love is blown up water damage. So I'm bracing myself for the day.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another videos. Welcome to the album series. So in this series, I'm going to take you through the process of creating an album. The album that I'm currently working on is my second album. I released my first album last year, and I'm going to take you through the process, the struggles, the social media marketing, and everything in between. So let me know down in the comments if there's anything you want to see, and I'll take you guys through it in this series. Okay, there's a couple things I want to talk about in this video. First of all, the concept and vision of the album. Secondly, the production aspect, and in each video I plan to take you through some of the production that I'm currently doing for the album. Third in this video is the struggles of the writing, like the struggles of the production in the album. And fourth is the mistakes that I made in the last album that I plan on not doing for this one. So yeah, let's get this video started. This is the album series, episode 1. So first up, let's talk about the concept and vision for the album. Now for my previous album, it was called Dusk, and I instantly had the visual idea and I had the concept of the album sound-wise ready, finished the album with that in mind. But for this one, I'm actually approaching it a bit differently. Now I'm no like visual genius at all. Like I don't typically come up with the visual idea before I make the song. I typically just have someone help me with the creative direction afterwards. I think that's totally fine. Not everyone is also creative visually, and I'm definitely not that. So for this album, I wanted to really just make a bunch of songs, play around with a bunch of ideas, and not worry too much about the overall concept. But with that being said, my vision for the album kind of developed over time, and I wanted to really emphasize that I don't set boundaries when it comes to production styles. And with that, I wanted to dive deeper into the R&B hip-hop pocket of my production, mainly because of a few things. One, I love that sound. It fits me very well, and my recent stuff that is more hip-hop R&B leaning has been really liked by my fans and listeners a lot. So I really want to explore that direction a bit more. Two, I don't really play a lot of shows anymore. Like I don't get booking requests the way I used to, meaning that I'm becoming kind of less of a live artist, which has bothered me a lot, to be honest. If you've seen my recap videos of the years, you've heard me talk about this, but I think I've come to terms with it, and I'm also now able to like use that as an advantage and dive deeper into a song and sound identity that isn't necessarily as break, build, drop focused, like an EDM composition arrangement, but more like just whatever I want it to be. Some of the tracks are like verse, hook, verse, hook. Some of the tracks are verse, hook, build, drop. Some of the tracks are verse, drop, verse, drop. There's a bunch of different arrangement ideas that I implemented into this album. So yeah, that's the overall idea of the album. I plan to have vocals on all tracks. That was definitely something that I knew before I started the album that I wanted to, because I wanted to appeal to a broader audience than just like the EDM, electronic music listeners. I want like an R&B enjoyer or like a rap enjoyer to listen to some of the songs and go, oh, this is really cool. The production sounds like more detailed and modern than the rap or R&B I usually listen to, and that was like a goal for some of the songs. But with that being said, let's dive into some of the production on the album. Yeah, let's dive into the first track. This one is called Work.
I get it, baby, seen it here first. Cash out like checks on the first. Plenty green for the squad like turf. The motto is don't stop it if it work. Make it work, make it work. The motto is don't stop it if it work. Make it work, do it work. The motto is don't stop it if it work. Make it work, 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 make it work. Work that, work that, work that.
Oh, play. So the reason why this is overloading so much is because there is almost 300 tracks in the project. So nice. That's because I've worked on this for several years and just altered different parts and a lot of effects, and just it's a nightmare project. But let me just try to play the drop again. The leads is actually made from just claps. Just claps.
Work that, work that, work that. Make it work. Can I let me see you work that, work that thing, work that thing.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with this. But let me just go through some of the stuff in the project. I assume a lot of you guys want to see how I made the claps, how I made the drums, how I made the bass sounds, all that good stuff. Also, before I go through anything, just to let you guys know, my demo master is always God Particle, no limiter. Master desk, no EQ, but just mono making everything under like 80 hertz. No stereo enhancing either, because that's dangerous on the master. And then just a clipper. I use Ash. Yeah, oversampling enabled, of course, and yeah, clipping like 1 to 2 dB. That's my like demo master chain. When I send stems or a stereo export to the mastering engineer, there's nothing on it. Maybe sometimes I keep the God Particle on, but that's about it really. Yes, let's just go through this track group by group. So we start with the drums. Let's go through the drop drums first. This has a nasty bounce. Basically, I have two kicks. I have this one. No processing on. It's all about selecting good samples. I often say that. And then a top layer, which I, for some reason, panned to the right. No clue why. Maybe it gave a cool effect. I made like the original idea 3-4 years ago, so I don't know a lot. I have a loop chopped up, a rim. That's pretty much it. The loops are from my bounce pack, percussion pack that's out on Element Store. If you want to cop that, I typically chop up those loops to create cool movement and percussive like vibes in the bouncy tracks. Then we have the clap group. Oh my god. Okay. I think the initial idea started with this MIDI. So I was like, had the idea. It's just a bunch of clap samples that I loaded onto Drum Designer, and I put Snap Heap. I actually never use this plugin anymore. Maybe I should. Yeah. Put Snap Heap on, and then this Unfiltered Audio Spec Ops goated plugin, just essentially spectrally compressing it. And I think I may have, yes, modulating where the spectral compressing starts, enabling for different tones of the clap. So you hear it get like squeaky in the top end, in the end, hence the automation, or from the automation. And then just a bunch of clap samples layers with that. And then these down here too. Yeah, so bouncy. What I want you guys to take note of here is the time alignment of things is very, very carefully done. So on some hits, there will be flamming, meaning that the initial hit of the layer or the actual clap will be off a little bit. So instead of going, it goes, that was a horrible example. Anyway, yeah, so some of the claps are flammed, some of the claps are not, but everything is moved a little bit to the right to give that bounce. And then on the group, like the entire clap group, I have a ring mod that I'm using as a sidechain to my kick. And then I have punch, basically just clipping it. Basically clipping the top of the loud claps. I actually don't use this plugin a lot. I think there are better sounding clippers out there, but I just love the interface so much. And this was an old project, so I used it back then. But let's dive in more into this track. There's a sidechain group as well. It's essentially just 808s and a bunch of samples thrown in there. Yeah, so as you hear, good sample selection is essentially have a sonic identity. I often say this, and I think it's a very concept in electronic music, but you don't need to know a lot of sample manipulation tools. You just really need to select good samples. Good example of this is where recently a lot of unknown producers have been dropping insane 140 like bass dubstep tunes because they use the good samples from the Shadow sample. Yes, let's just go through the 808s here. Essentially, let's just pick the main one. Yes, there's a lot going on, honestly. Compression, EQ, black box for saturation. I always use the alternate for the saturation since it sounds a lot more tubey and colored than the regular mode when it's turned off. Love that one. And then just running through SPL iron for the compression. Another EQ boosting the mids by like 10 dB, very unorthodox way, but I often do this on my bass sounds because they will then later get, oh my god, they will then later get either limited or compressed, and in this instant actually limited. I then have a layer here which is just the 808 bounced out with riff. Yeah, so loud, super clippy. That's pretty much it. And I do the same for all the basses. So it's like a call response thing where the 808 changes. So this, there's a distorted layer, there's a noise layer on here as well, which essentially is the 808 ran through texture. Basically 100% wet, so it's only running the right noise through Rift to distort the white noise, and then put it in EQ so you make sure you don't get the low end that Rift generates with the distortion. That's pretty much it for. There is so much stuff happening in this project. It's insane. This was recorded with a U87 as far as I remember, going into a CL1B or going into a 1073 and a CL1B, I think. So out the gate, the vocal recording sounds amazing. I recorded it in LA.
Hot did it, baby, seen it here first. Cash out like checks on the first.
And that just spiced it up a bit, really. Saturation, EQ, used isotope Nectar, coloring and compression as well. And then on the group, there is a sound shifter and there's an OT, which I don't always use on vocals, but sometimes to create a more like upfront atmosphere, it can definitely work. Then one of my new favorite, Aura from Brainworks. Love this reverb. Also love the interface. Just look at it. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Not spot. That's it for this track. Let's jump on. Yeah, so for this last part, I want to talk a little bit about the struggles that I've been facing writing this album, and then also the mistakes that I made on the last album that I'm trying not to do again. Firstly, let's talk about the struggles I'm facing or I have faced when I've been writing this album. Firstly, finishing songs has been tough. It's been tough to get feature vocals on the tracks as well. A lot of the feature artists that I've found has been through like existing network, management, or like scrolling on TikTok and Reels and finding dope artists, upcoming artists. Just reaching out like, hey, I have this track that I really think you would fit on. Would you want to do it? It's going to be a single for my upcoming album, blah, blah, blah. And then essentially just sending out, I probably send out like 200 messages to other artists like, hey, would you want to do a collab or would you want to feature on this album? It's definitely been a big struggle getting people to actually believe in the project, because a lot of people will jump on my Spotify and see like, hey, he's got a couple songs with like 50 million streams, but his latest songs have only streamed like a couple 100,000. So is he still hot? Is he washed? Another struggle has definitely been to figure out where financially to put my eggs. Like, should I spend on video? Should I spend on PR, influencer marketing, merch, events? There's like so many different ways you could go about spending the money you have for an album. And I definitely put a lot of money aside for my album because I want to make sure it gets to as many people as possible. So yeah, that's definitely been a struggle of mine. Yeah, there's also been the thought of, should I sign it somewhere, like a major label-ish thing, or should I keep releasing independently, like I always have. I've come to the conclusion that a major label probably wouldn't provide a lot more than what my distributor does, so there isn't really a reason, unless they could like put a lot of money behind it and push it to radio and stuff, but we didn't have any offers with that, so we decided to, and when I say we, it's me and my management, we decided to release it independently. Again, we had a lot of success releasing independently previously, and my album that came out last year, my first album, streamed 2 million times or 2 million streams in the first 2 months. But then there was a whole issue of it getting taken down from Spotify because it had bot plays apparently. Someone had put it on a bot playlist, which made them take the entire album down and re-upload it. So now it has no streams. Some mistakes that I made on my last album, which I think is very important to reflect on when you're an artist like me, is 1, there was too many tracks on the album. I think I should have cut maybe 2 or 3 tracks off the album, because listening back to it now, some of it was definitely fluff and maybe shouldn't have been there. And 2, I think spending as much money on videos, I think I spent like almost 10,000 euros on videos for the last album, and I think giving the traction I got off those videos, they were definitely not worth it. I should have spent the money on something visually that could have more potential to go viral, meaning that the video should have been more eye-catching, have more of like a TikTok Reels algorithm thing in mind from the get-go, because views doesn't necessarily correlate with streams, but if you get a moment on TikTok and Reels nowadays, it's much more important than how the video looks. I think virality, definitely important in this day and age. Anyway, that's gonna be it for the album series, episode 1. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you want to see in the next one, because I'm doing a couple of episodes of this album series, and yeah, just breaking down my whole process, my thoughts with the album, my whole rollout of how we're rolling out the singles, what we're doing visually, concept wise, artwork, promo wise, all that stuff. So yeah, just let me know what you want to see, and yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Baby, I'm a son on the beat.